Hey. Hope you're having a fantastic day today. We are talking seller leads. We're talking about generating the coveted inventory, right? The lack of inventory is still a very real thing. And who doesn't want more listings? So we're talking seller leads, we're talking listings, we're talking generating business that will help you stay in business, right? So we're looking at seller leads. Listings is what we're covering. So I'm just waiting for this to show that I am live, although I am seeing it over here, but I want to make sure that I can test out the audio. As you're coming in, a like is going to go a long way. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down below. But outside of that, let's just jump into it. Let's look at some easy ways, or the easy way. It's going to primarily revolve around one key concept on generating some seller leads. So again, who doesn't want some more of that? And as you're coming in as well, feel free to comment, where are you listening from? Really helps understand when and where we need to be going live. Now, the reason and really the inspiration for this video, outside of general videos that I make about generating listings, is it came to me in the form of getting a ton of email notifications. I would say in the past 3 to 4 weeks ago. Now, I guess at this point it would have been 4 weeks ago. So I'm used to getting emails and getting notifications from all of the lead magnets that I have out there. So all of the things that I provide, whether that's to my main channel or auxiliary channels that I have going on. But here about 4 weeks ago, I started getting a lot of emails. I remember one day I got like 5 emails from one source, which was a video that I had made three years ago. It was, I think it was February of 2019, if I'm not mistaken. I just started getting some emails based off of people opting in one of my lead magnets. And the lead magnet was very simple. It was a Remind link. So some of you know Remind because this channel talked about Remind quite a bit. And it was a link that I had provided back in the day, and a lead magnet to access the MLS. So Remind gave users the opportunity to log into Remind itself and have access to the MLS, which would be linked up to me. So it's basically using my MLS as the lead magnet that Remind would just put a landing page, a little portal in front of the user. They could create their account and they would have access to the MLS, but it was a courtesy through me. So basically there was a conduit to the MLS. And I'm used to getting a couple of emails here and there every month up until that point, but I started noticing that 4 weeks ago, I started getting a lot. I started getting a ton. And when I did the math and I added them up before we came on live, in the past 30 days, I've gotten about 26 of those notifications. That means names, that means emails, that means phone numbers, and in some cases, that means timeline of when they want to purchase, timeline of the budget that they have. And I get to see the activity of the saved searches, the amount of properties that they favorited, and any other homes that they've looked at. So I get all that transparency because they're on my portal now. But I say that because the one catalyst, the one thing that actually was driving all those leads was a video that I had made 3 years ago. There's so many numbers. I'm trying to remember all of them. 3 years ago. And when I went back to look at that video, it was a video that shared with the audience how to pull comps for their property taxes. So the entire strategy that we're going to cover today revolves around property taxes, because right now, especially since the last year across many markets, property values have skyrocketed over 20%, 30%, in some markets 40%. It's just gone absolutely incredibly high. And in some markets, it's really state by state, the property taxes are already high themselves. So here in Texas, where I live, it generally is one of the more expensive property tax states. Now, we don't have sales tax or anything like that, but when it comes to property taxes, we have more than the average state out there. So here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, you're looking at about 2.5 to about 3.3% in property taxes. So that means if you own a house that's valued at, let's just say, $500,000 on average, I think that's $15,000, right? That's $15,000 in taxes alone every single year. So that is regardless if you own the property or if you're making payments on it. That's what we're paying because I have multiple properties here in Dallas-Fort Worth. So property taxes are a real thing, especially this past year. So all that to say is that one video just absolutely took off. And that was a video that I made 3 years ago, mind you. And for context, amount of views, the entire video in and of itself has 1,400 views. It's not even many views at all, but I was at the right place, maybe a little bit early because it was 3 years ago, but I was at the right place and I had the right lead magnet, the right offer. So the video itself, again, is how to find the how to find the comparables to protest your property taxes. And it just got caught up in the algorithm here in the past 4 weeks to where now 26 leads later, it's all from that one video. I haven't made another video that drove people to that landing page, drove people to opt in. So it's something that I really wanted to cover today in terms of the easiest way to get seller leads. And that has to do with talking about property taxes. Now I understand in some markets, property taxes aren't as important because your property taxes may not be that high. However, in the grand scheme of things, at some point, the property taxes do rise. So regardless if you consider property taxes being a non-issue or being a super big issue like they are here in Texas, it's something worth following up on, something worth talking about in your particular marketing. Now, as far as providing a step-by-step approach on how to generate leads, I just gave you one practical way to do that, and that was sharing with your community on how to pull comps or offering to pull comps, offering to pull comparables to protest property taxes. Because again, here in Texas, we are able to protest them, and it's something that is coming up here relatively soon. In fact, actually today was the last day, May 15th in our particular county where the bulk of my properties are at is the 15th, right? Yeah. So the big thing here is having that awareness that even though let's back up. Property taxes, who is it going to affect? Long term, it's going to affect renters because they have to pay. Chances are the landlords, after they have to pay property taxes, they're going to raise the rent, right? So everybody's impacted. It's not just the homeowners, but it's really the homeowners that bear the brunt of it because they can't accelerate the rents as high as the property taxes are coming due for them, because then they're going to have tenants go, right? So for the properties that I have here is I've given the past 2-3 years that I haven't really raised any rents, but now I have to. It's not going to be crazy. It's not going to be an obscene amount, but at the end of the day, I do have to because I just don't want to come out of, I shouldn't say I have to. I will because I don't want to come out of pocket for the property taxes. And so for me, I can't necessarily, I'm going to have to eat some of that additional expense because of the property taxes. But at the end of the day, I will be raising some rents. But all that to say is the property taxes are impacting the renters long-term as well. But for us, the landlords, and for us homeowners, even if you don't have any properties yourself and are renting them out, you as a homeowner, you are impacted. So this is a good opportunity for you to get some research, to do some research on property taxes in your market. The more of an expert you're perceived, the more people that have homes are going to reach out to you. And what we're finding now is that people that are learning more about property taxes and the way that they're growing, the conversation of selling, especially if they have other homes, isn't off the table. Previously it was. So strategically what we would do is we would offer to pull comps for those homeowners so to help them protest their property taxes. At the end of the day, it started taking up too much of our time. So what we did is we just provided a a cheat sheet, a template that we actually use. So for not only for my properties as well, but what we would use for the homeowners themselves, the little playbook that we would use. Now we just give that playbook to our clients. And basically getting the template of how we protest the property taxes. So instead of us doing the comp pulling and in some cases actually protesting for them, what we do is we just hand over the book. Basically, it's a 2-sheeter. It's not that long, but basically the checklist, if you will, of how we would do it. And then we put the onus on the home seller to do it now for them, or the homeowner for them to do it. So all that to say is that property taxes is a great way to start having those conversations with homeowners around property, so you know that they are homeowners. But beyond that, now what we're finding that the homeowners are actually more likely to have a conversation about selling. Previously, it was here, Jaime, here's my property, here's my authorization for you to go protest my property taxes, or hey, give me the comps for my property because I'm going to protest on my behalf. Cool. We would do that all day long, but now the conversation about selling, they're on the table. So regardless if it's a brand new home or a home that they just moved into, conversations are being had. I live in a new build community. So right now the turnover here, even in a new community, it's been 6% on brand new homes. So that's something that's a real thing. Regardless if somebody just got into a home, regardless if someone's been in the home for a while, property taxes are a real thing. So what I want to encourage you to do is, number one, educate yourself on property taxes to the best of your ability. There's a lot of videos out there. Some of them you're going to find that are mine, but there's a lot of videos out there that talk about property taxes. I want you to go into your county appraisal district and read up of property taxes and become a weapon of property taxes, become a resource of for property taxes, so you can start speaking from an authoritative standpoint, from a position of authority that you know what you're talking about. And then take that next step that we did back 3 years ago and make an offer of, hey, reach out to us if you want the template to protest property taxes. Reach out to us if you want access to the MLS so you can protest your property taxes, so you can get the comps. Make those offers in everything that you're doing. So if you're on social media, make those posts. This is an easy conversation starter. And we're not talking about, hey, reach out to me to sell your house. Hey, let's talk property taxes because I can save you a couple $1,000s. Right? So what we fail to realize is if we successfully protest a property, the increase of property taxes, we're saving a couple $100 that year, but long term, we're saving a couple $1,000s or several $1,000s because every time we successfully protest, we're keeping that value down. And it's from that anchor point that the next one gets raised up, right? So I know it's more of a visual thing, but just giving you a bit of the context and the value add that you can provide to your audience, to your homeowners. So posting on social media is incredible. Direct mail, this is something that we're piloting right now. And the messaging that we're using for direct mail around property taxes is, are you ready to pay we put 15% more because there's a limit to the amount of property taxes that they can be raised on homesteads here in Texas. So are you ready to pay 15% more on your mortgage payment next year? Right? So we're using that messaging to put this on people's doorstep as quickly as possible, especially in the area that we're farming specifically, which is new build, which is around my neighborhood. Because with new construction, that first year of a full property tax payment is incredibly high from somebody that's not used to paying that much property taxes, the new homeowner, because depending on when they purchase a property, it's not assessed to its fullest potential. So if you purchase a property in October, as an example, well, you're not responsible for January through September. You're only responsible from October to X, Y, and Z. And also, it's not assessed a full value of what the property is actually worth. I know I'm saying if you have very little experience with property taxes, I know this might not be landing. So I really want you to do some research on what property taxes mean for you, your community, and really for your area that you're farming, because this is a very good way to start conversations with homeowners because they need it. So anyway, again, going back to social media, start posting about that. Are you ready to pay 15% more on property taxes? It's the same thing that we're doing. On your mortgage payment. It's the same thing that we're doing for direct mail pieces. And then you already know what I'm going to say. Video is very powerful. I just gave you an example of how we're actually generating business from something that happened 3 years ago. And I'll be honest, I wish I had that foresight to call that shot. I don't. I guess to a certain extent, I did have enough of a foresight to make that video 3 years ago. But as I look at it, it wasn't that good. It was super echoey. It was back when I was in an office. I was just sounded like I was in a freaking vacuum. It was just bad. But at the end of the day, done is better than perfect, as you often hear said. So with the property taxes conversation, it was as I looked at the video itself, it provided the information that they needed. It gave a huge offer to them getting access to the MLS so they can pull the comps in their area of the homes that were sold. And the awesome thing of it was that it finally caught wind from the YouTube algorithm, and I was used to seeing some spikes every once in a while from the video. Instead of telling you about it, let me see if I can show you. Now, I'm a little bit reserved on showing you this, not because of you taking the idea or anything. I want you to take the idea. That's why I made this video. But it's on my other channel, and I'm going live on my primary channel right now. So hopefully it doesn't dork anything up. But I want you to see the spikes for yourself, because I think that it would be interesting for you to intake this, and it might inspire you to make one of those videos that you've been thinking about for a while, but just haven't had the courage. So if this goes AWOL, if you don't see me again, just know that we're still friends, but that I couldn't that because I switched YouTube channels, which I just did here on the back end, it kind of booted me off. So if I don't show up again, if it freezes up on us, know that I'm not coming back. It's, the strategy now, so go on and prosper with it. All right, so let's see. It's not showing me the YouTube studio look. All right, so this is Jaime Resendiz YouTube channel. Any questions on it? Max, gonna try that one. You should, Max. Appreciate you being here. It's something that has really been super helpful, especially on the work that I already did years ago, right? So it's not something that I had to work for today, and it's been working quite well. Again, the main thing is having the conversation around taxes. Now, if you're not versed in taxes, it's okay. I didn't know much about taxes back in the day. I still don't know all that much about taxes, but I know enough to get around. So use that as your opportunity. All right. I think it might work. Don't be afraid to call the tax assessor as well. Don't be afraid to get some intel from them. All right, so check this out. See if we can get this. All right, so this is a video. Terrible thumbnail. Don't replicate my thumbnail. It sucks. The reason this video works is not because I got cute with the video, not because I applied the good stuff, if you will, but because I addressed a need that was very needed at that time, and now, as you can see, and I was rewarded for it. So you see here, it has 1,400 views, but as I mentioned to you the stats a little while ago, in the last 4 weeks or so, 26 leads have come through, right? So shown a different way, this is going to really help you visualize it better. So look at that spike. And I was used to seeing these spikes around April, because March, April, because that's when the property taxes come up. I was used to these spikes, right? So I saw these spikes back here towards the beginning of the year, But then this one I was not used to. And that's really what explained, hey, this is what's happening now, right? So then the video itself, nothing to write home about, very echoey. You can go watch it yourself. It is a higher percentage view rate, so that was awesome. My average is certainly not 56.5% of view rate, or average percent viewed. So I just got the job done. So as you can see, when I do the big reveal, that's when it kind of when it spikes up again, right? What terms do you suggest searching to become an expert? Well, I just go property taxes and then go to the county that you're in, Sierra. That's a great question. So just property taxes and then put the market that you're in. And then start doing some research off of that. Read everything that they have on the website. Watch every video that you can on YouTube. Call the county appraisal district and ask some questions, right? So get as much as you can. It all goes down to adding value to the audience. Correct. So that's really what I want to cover today. I know that it's one of those, hopefully, well, it actually became longer than I thought. The property tax conversation is one that needs to be had right now. It's one of the easiest ways to get your foot in the door, and trust me, the conversation of selling is more prominent now than ever if you're using this strategy. So the folks that have come through, we've had some very fruitful conversations of, hey, this isn't going away. We can protest, and I'm straight up honest with them. We can protest, understand that we're not going to win. just as a heads up, because right now, the way that properties are being assessed, yes, it's higher than you're used to. But if you look at it, a property, and I'm generalizing here, especially here in Dallas-Fort Worth, if you're looking at it from a property that is $400,000, the property is probably assessed $320,000, $350,000. So it's actually assessed less. So even if we go up to bat and protest, we know that the property is valued $400,000. It's going to be hard for us to contest that. So at the end of the day, it's being honest with the people that reach out to you. We can protest, and we absolutely will. Just understand that chances are we're not going to win. Unless your house is a complete beater, you just let it go to heck, we're not going to win, right? Now, you don't go in and saying that right off the bat, but just be real. Let people know that these are the pros, these are the cons, this is where the market's at, these are the options that you have. What I'm sharing with you is that now more than ever, the conversation of selling, that's actually on the table now. A year ago, it was not as much, but it was. A year before that, same thing. Year for that, same thing. But now more than ever, if you're looking at some of the charts that are if you look from the property value rising from the past 10 years to now in the city that you're in, you can see that it skyrockets from 2021 to 2020. I'm sorry, 2021 to 2022. So anyway, hopefully this provided some value to you. Start having conversations about property taxes. Be a resource. A lot of folks don't understand what property taxes are. Even me, I have a hard time understanding it to the best, compared to the best of them, but I know enough to get around. I know enough to provide some value. So feel free to start using this strategy in your market. Start applying it from social media, from direct mail, from YouTube, from blogs, any medium that you can put out there. If you start putting some tax related information, you're going to find that there's a huge deficit. There's a huge gap in property taxes. Right? So that's all I had for you today. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down in the comments.